All right, this is the second half of my show with Gordon Duff, Veterans Today editor. Gordon, you know what you've discussed here, what you've talked about. I actually started writing about 40 years ago. I've been doing a lot of
Oh, I know.
research on it.
You've been busy. It's kind of the issue that while you were writing about this stuff, I was either part of the bad guys or running a major bank. I was a UN diplomat for 5 years, not at a minor level. You know, one of the tough things here for me, and it's gotten me in trouble to some extent, is that I'm outspoken, and I have the biggest Rolodex in the world. If you wanted to reach somebody in Malawi and get something done, and you don't have my number, you're screwed. If you want to work in Cameroon and export mahogany, for instance, or gold, and you don't have my telephone number, you're screwed. If you want a license to export oil from Nigeria and you don't have my telephone number, you're not going to do it. You know, if you've got people out there, it's the simple truth. I'm more than slightly connected. I spent many years getting to know and getting people dependent on me to some extent. I've got a good staff of people with me. What I've had to do with Veterans Today is move from internet rumor information, like all these people writing about Syria and how nice the side is. And I want to spend just a second doing this. We have these people called progressive activists, and heaven forbid, I'm a Democrat, pro-union guy. You know, Jews are fine. Mexicans are okay, even if they're not cleaning your pool. I think they're fine people. You know, we have of course, I live near Detroit, and the Hispanic neighborhood in Detroit used to be the worst ghetto in the world and is now safe and clean. So that's our experience. Other places in the U.S. don't have that experience. I have friends that live in southern Arizona, and because they're not Hispanic, they have found they live in an area where they're treated in the U.S. with prejudice because they're not Hispanic, and are rather surprised. You know that yeah, you can live in the U.S. and be white and be treated like a minority, and you know what, because you are. My question is, where the hell are you and I supposed to go now? You know, and I am one of those would-be liberal people. I mean, politically, you and I are theoretically opposites. But
I was, no, wait a minute, Gordon. I was fairly comfortable being called a right-wing extremist when Clinton was in office, but when Bush got in, I don't know if I became a liberal or what. You know?
Oh, I mean, there's no idiot. This is part of my problem here. The Michigan militia supposedly had disbanded because finally we have President Bush, and the first thing he does, he gets a hold of the Mossad. A group of criminals overinsure the World Trade Center. An old German submarine refitted for cruise missiles drops one into the Pentagon. A Model 21 drops a Tomahawk missile in there. The Mossad blows up a truck on the George Washington Bridge. We arrest the guys. A day later, the police who arrested him don't remember it. It was on television. I've got the film. You know, I've got the recording of the police doing the arrest, and we can't find him anymore. The dispatchers are gone. Dan Rather even reported I've got him on TV. You can show him himself saying, and we caught these people blowing up the George Washington Bridge. And he'll tell you, but that's not me. But it says CBS News. It looks just like I didn't say that. The U.S. has become such a pack of bull that living here is intolerable. The problem is that my family's been here one half since about 1630, the other half 1780. We came here, part of it was still British then, but we've been here a long time. We've worked, we've been in and out of jail, we've been helped run things, at varying times. At other times, frankly, we have not been certainly the leaders of this country by any means. But we've been Americans. I fought in stupid wars. I'm a combat veteran, 100% disabled veteran, Marine infantryman. We served in a Marine Special Landing Team in Vietnam. And what I feel is invited to leave the United States because I'm living in a police state because we've got all these patriotic federal servants here whose job it is to destroy the United States, take the rights of every human being.
Now, let me stop you right. Let me stop you there for a moment, because one of the things that I've been saying, and when I got started this, when I was 40 years ago, I got busted for pot in Texas and went to prison for marijuana, which is now legal in 13 states. And I've said that if we were in a police state then, not only did they steal our #1 cash crop for us, they made, if a man with a badge can walk up to you on the street and say, "What do you got in your pocket, son?" You live in a police state.
Yeah. Even our Constitution is supposed to protect us from. Here's a classic. This is probably 2002. I was down in South Carolina. I drove from North Carolina into South Carolina in my 12-cylinder BMW that cost $120-some thousand with my wife. Middle-aged tourist, wearing middle-aged tourist stuff. I've got a regular haircut, I'm wearing a little silk shirt, wearing my little, handmade loafers. I'm one of those people, I had a police check lane stop me and had a cop ask me, "Where are you going?" The issues here. One issue is, first of all, I get 2 passports in my wallet, which makes it really, really heavy here. It's I've got a huge, whatever it made. It's an expensive one anyway, and one of them's diplomatic. Secondly, if you read the windshield of my car, it says that I'm an employee of the Department of Defense. If you look at the license plate, it says I'm a disabled veteran. You look at the car, it says I got enough money to sue your ass. And you look at me, and as with you, the last thing you want to do is to see me crawl out of a car and take one of your arms off, which I'm not against doing. But stopping everyone, South Carolina thought they could stop everyone and ask them where they were going as though I just entered Red China. Well, I had just entered Red China. Had the same thing happen on the border of Mississippi, coming in from Tennessee about the same time. Drive around the U.S., I hadn't had time to go everywhere in the U.S. during my life. Took some time off, and wife and I decided to do this, and found a country full of borders, check lanes, and police who thought they were gods. And then I quietly, in front of a group of people, explained, you can keep doing this. And as I just had a mobile phone in the car, built into the console, back when we used to use those things.
Yeah, I remember.
And, you stop the wrong person, and you're stopping someone here, I'll just go back to the car and make a call, and someone will come and take you away. It's simple as that. You can't do that. That was during the last 5 minutes of democracy. Now, I don't hate the TSA guys. A lot of them are veterans. And frankly, that, you know, they've got stupid jobs of running these radiation scanners here sold by criminals to the U.S. that kill people, kill them most of all. But there are a lot of them are veterans with $15 an hour jobs, and I'm glad they're working. And I travel an awful lot, and they treat me fairly well. But I do tell you that since I've got a passport that's full of visas from every bad country you could think of, here's a classic. One of the guys on my team had just returned from Iraq. Now, he had been hired into the FBI by J. Edgar Hoover. He retired, went to work for the State Department as head of counterintelligence for Iraq, spent 2 years there. He's, let's say, our age, not a young guy. Spent 35 years as an FBI agent, one of the people who founded the FBI's Hostage Rescue Center, ran their training center, was not a special agent, was a high-ranking Justice Department official. And in Iraq, ran State Department counterintelligence for Iraq. Returning to the U.S., they strip searched him. Inside his wallet is identification from the State Department, a retired gold FBI badge, and they strip searched him. Checked his luggage, opened everything up. If you, and for my friends here, and then last time I came back from Nigeria, where I was the guest of the president of Nigeria for his inauguration, I was thoroughly searched, which, you know, I do not complain about. I'm not above being a person like anyone else, you know. You know, what were you doing in Nigeria? I was there for the inauguration. Whose inauguration? The president. Who invited you? The president. Where did you stay? The presidential suite at the largest hotel. You know, it's my job here. And then the other question is, what are these papers you have here? If, you're on a visit. I'm saying I was appointed to the board of Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation for some reason. You know, they decided to do that, which is, you know, a little odd, but it was their decision to do it. I don't get paid to do it. But yeah, I went through probably an hour of being searched. Now, the people were polite and reasonable and competent, and I just don't mind them doing it. I can deal with it. You know, I'm not angry. What I'm angry about is when and I'm not an idiot here. I tell you, when I tell you I have access to anybody's underwear drawer, I mean literally. So I have more access than the head of the FBI has, considerably more than General Petraeus. I can get his information. Now, I cannot release classified information, but I have access to everything, anything and everything. And when I take a look at some government organizations here, state organizations through the American Southwest, and I find out how many sheriff's departments, and some are not. Sheriff Joe seems to be a pretty clean guy, but his county seems to be run by the cartels, where much of Arizona, some of Colorado, Nevada, California, where the governments themselves are on the payroll of the cartel, where the police are working for the cartel. Remember J.T. Reddy, the guy who committed suicide?
Supposedly committed suicide, although witnesses left in there say it didn't happen that way.
He was killed by police. He and his family were executed by police. He was out. He was followed by a police car. He was trying to get elected sheriff. Two police he knew went to his house, executed his family, and then all you have to do is to take the local police department, because they use their own cell phones to set up the killings. and it takes 5 minutes to do it. Now, we had a Jewish family of 5 committed suicide outside of Phoenix about a week ago.
Supposedly, yes.
Supposedly. Now, they were found outside of town, shot in the head, stacked in the back of their SUV. Now, I want to know if Dad shot himself in the head first and drove out there, or set himself on fire first, drove out, and then shot himself in the head. I'm trying to figure out how that was done. I know the police say it was a murder. And the police have been, of course, humiliated by the newspapers, who are controlled by heaven only knows who. Now, I have nothing bad to say about this family, but I do know that there's a huge amount of money laundered in Phoenix, and that Phoenix is under the control, largely, of groups of organized crime.
There is one, you asked about a thing, I did a little bit of research. The Village Voice Media is the left-wing New Times. They did give me some good publicity in the motorcycle magazine at one time, but they're really against...
it's not the same owners.
They're given credit for the Village Voice Publishing is the one that owns
You do know they run 81% of the child pornography ads in the United States?
Yes.
And the child sex ads. And I am quoting the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, and the Chicago Tribune. Now, Sheriff Joe, had the 2 guys that run that arrested. And they have a lawsuit with them. And one of the writers for that said that they recruit FBI informants. Now, one of the things that's done, I have some issues with them. Sexually abusing children is a problem with me. It will give you a problem with me eventually. And I run defense companies, and we call it, I don't know if you know what first tier means, but I employ Special Forces, Rangers, SEALs, SAS, Special Operations people who are needed for legal work that is approved of by the U.S. government. But it also means I'm not harmless, and I can hold my own with, pretty much any of them, including the ones that are decades older than me, as I suspect you might be able to also. But inside of Arizona, and I live a long ways away, I've got a good-sized staff out there, and we've ended up in a problem with the Hells Angels. Now, the Hells Angels is a motorcycle gang. I know that you are known to them. And they may or may not be involved in illegal activities. I can tell you for sure they are targeted by the DEA and BATF, and that they've had people arrested over and over. But I also I'm a motorcyclist, avid, have been for 40 years. I know the lifestyle. I respect the lifestyle. I respect it as the last vestige of freedom in the United States for some reason. I'd rather people did not break laws, but when there are no jobs of any kind and the choice is living under a bridge or selling marijuana, I at least understand that. When I've got people that steal trillions of dollars and the government spends 90% of their money going after a few people with motorcycles, living in little houses, places, and involved in infinitesimal criminal activities, and when they have hands off on when I track a presidential candidate. And this is, I'm going to add someone on here. When you track a presidential candidate down to thousands of overseas bank accounts, and I'm adding someone from South Africa, if I can do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let me see. This will be a little bit of a surprise here because this is an official, if you know what I mean by that. He who goes bump in the night. Let me see. Gosh, I hate. I can't say I hate Skype because they make a lot of money for a lot of people. But rolling down Skype here. There we go. And a call. Let's see if we can get him to answer up. And not a shy person. Let's see if I'm trying to ring someone in South Africa on this, and we'll see if I can do so. And I did not do so successfully. I will make another attempt here. We'll go back to what we were doing.
Let me. I don't
Go
know.
ahead.
I'm on 3 or 4 other lines here, and we've got about 8 minutes left. But I mean, you're talking about the cartels being here, the
It's not just
the
that.
drugs, the methamphetamine. Now, it used to be manufactured by the different clubs around the country.
And now it's all made in
but now it's
Mexico
coming
because they produce the powerful version. The couple of big deals. One, of course, is 97.5% of the heroin in the United States is produced in Afghanistan under the supervision of the United States with the approval of what had been our U.S. governor of Afghanistan, Richard Holbrooke, decided that it was good for us to support the heroin business. And that means that the U.S. is shipping it around. What the U.S. does with heroin is we buy the fertilizer through USAID, taxpayers pay for it. U.S. members of Congress bring in the processing chemicals from Germany to make it into heroin, have built the facilities. The CIA flies it out to Camp Bondsteel in Kosovo, where we transfer it to the Albanian mafia, and they distribute it around the world. And they're the most dangerous criminal operation in the world. The problem, of course, is that they're partnered with some of the U.S. Army and the CIA, and saying this is so unapproved, it's unbelievable. But the biggest drug dealers in the world, who are the biggest drug dealers in the world, Clayton?
CIA and Mossad.
Absolutely. The band and what they're doing.
The first threat I got from the CIA was after I ran the story in my motorcycle magazine in Miami, distributed nationally. I ran the story of Operation Watchtower. Colonel Edward P. Catolo, and he wrote about William Tyree and his wife's murder to silence him because he was part of George Bush's Operation Watchtower. They used the special forces to build the radio towers in Colombia, flew it into George Bush's partner, Manuel Noriega, CIA and the Mossad, Michael Harari, who you know, I believe.
I know, and we had Michael Harari, operations chief of the CIA, who on September 12th, 2001, had a party in Bangkok, Thailand, where the crew that planned and executed 9/11 that had gotten out of the country, they had done it well in advance, met in Bangkok, Thailand with a friend of mine, Dmitry Kolozov, former officer of the Soviet 12th Nuclear Directorate, and celebrated the killings on 9/11 as a Mossad operation.
I refer to it.
People who sat at the table with Harari when he did it.
I referred to 9/11 in, I believe, March 2004 as an exaggerated case of Jewish lightning.
I hate saying that word. Jewish lightning, by the way, is a mob term for a guy that buys a restaurant and then burns it down the next day for insurance. That's how the mob talks, not me, and not Clayton by any means, because we love Jewish people. You know, I have a family full of them, as a matter of fact. But
Well,
but it is. We didn't invent that term.
No,
you know.
no, we didn't. And
No.
you know, but you know,
But
my
it does seem
accident,
to
my
apply,
accident happened right after that.
Yeah. When you pay $116 million for a building and you collect $23 billion worth of insurance money after it mysteriously 3 buildings disappear, supposedly hit by airplanes, and I have qualified explosive engineering experts that claim that to destroy one of the towers of the World Trade Center would have taken 8-inch artillery and a train of shells that went all the way across the U.S. These were the strongest buildings in the world, and an airplane, even a 747, a B-52, hitting anywhere in those buildings would have bounced off. Here's what they equated it with: a ping pong ball thrown against a garbage truck. That's what they call it. So you can believe whatever you want.
What do you? I mean, now there's one doctor out there that has referred to what happened to the World Trade Center as dustification. Is it possible that we've got energy weapons?
I've heard that. I've heard talk about that, and then I had one of my guys, since I work on that side of the world, working on an energy project with people from DARPA. And he left there, and this was his judgment. According to the United States Army, and not unofficially, but it will never be broadcast, so I'll say it, the 2 towers of the World Trade Center were destroyed by 4 deuterium tritium fusion weapons, very small hydrogen bombs. It's why in the upper floors they vaporized enough steel to make 3 Nimitz-class aircraft carriers vaporized. Now, Popular Mechanics magazine said that that steel was vaporized by jet fuel, which is kerosene. I'll tell you what to do. Head on down to Lowe's or Home Depot. Go into the tool department and ask them for a kerosene welder. Tell them you want to cut through 3-inch slabs of steel with it. Now, when the guy gets up off the floor laughing, you try getting kerosene hot. The kerosene from planes, if they existed or didn't. The key issue in 9/11 was that I have the video, I have the police tapes of the arrest of 2 Israeli citizens on the George Washington Bridge, armed with a truck of explosives, picked up by the New Jersey State Police, announced on CBS and CNN. They were cuffed, put in the back of the cruiser. Their truck exploded. There were 118 witnesses, and 4 hours later, it never happened. And I have the tapes of it occurring. I have the NORAD tape of a guided missile hitting the side of the World Trade Center. And I have the ability, heaven forbid, to do forensic examination of video at the highest level of anywhere in the world, because I have an intelligence agency, a major intelligence agency I work with that does these things. One of the experiments we did about 6 weeks ago, we went through YouTube, pulled down videos of UFOs, and found that that all but one were CGI. Everything you see that you think is news is CGI. They can put anything on the screen. You can't tell. And then we found one from South Korea, a picture of a large UFO. And it went through spectral analysis. It had form, motion, it had heat.
Treated with your electric.
All right, hold on just a second.
News
Recording has been completed.
Oh, we're going away.
Yeah, we're almost out of time here. Let me cut a couple of these things off here.
You want to.
And,
NewsRadio.com. The
And
truth
we'd get that
is
one
out
off.
there. All you have